Да, безусловно. Они будут пытаться делать ставку на так называемую пятую колонну, на национал-предателей, на тех, кто зарабатывает деньги здесь, у нас, а живет там. И живет даже не в географическом смысле этого слова, а по своим мыслям, по своему рабскому сознанию. Я совсем не осуждаю тех, у кого вилла в Майами или на французской ривьере, кто не может обойтись без фуагра, устриц или так называемых гендерных свобод. Но проблема абсолютно не в этом.
Okay, so don't get it twisted. That is scary stuff when an authoritarian leader of a country like Russia is ranting about national traitors who have a slave consciousness that are, like, whether they live in Russia or not, that are traitors to Russia because they want oysters and geese and so-called gender freedoms, because never forget, he, like most Republicans in America, will never miss an opportunity to demonize the LGBTQ community. So he is ranting about this, trying to get Russians to start looking inward at other people who might be causing all the bad things that are happening. And that is what this is really about. We're gonna play a bit more of Putin's rant there, but this is an attempt to deflect from the horrendous situation of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. We've got updates on that are amazing. But first, a bit more of his attempted call to arms to get people to root out traitors in their midst.
А повторю в том, что многие из таких людей по своей сути ментально находятся именно там, а не здесь, не с нашим народом, не с Россией. Это и есть, по их мнению, признак принадлежности к высшей касте, к высшей расе. Подобные люди готовы и мать родную продать, только бы им разрешили сидеть в прихожей у этой самой высшей касты.
Okay, so we're gonna get Francesca's commentary in one moment, and we will reveal what it is that he's trying to deflect from. But let's pause for 1 second on all of what you just saw. And if you're on the podcast, I apologize. He's talking about people being cast traitors and wanting to be accepted by higher classes and all that. This is effectively, as Media Matters has pointed out, it's like a Tucker Carlson montage. This is a guy saying the elites, the rich are trying to manipulate you. Here's an inconvenient fact for Vladimir Putin. I mean, it's nice for him, but for his argument, it's inconvenient. According to multiple reports, Vladimir Putin just might be the richest person in the world. Back in 2017, he had an estimated net worth of $200 billion, stemming from his alleged control over significant chunks of Russia's energy sector. And he also presides over an inner circle with vast wealth of their own. And while he heckled those who have a villa in Miami or the French Riviera, he's got his own palace on the Black Sea, a lifestyle of yachts, cars, and reported secret girlfriends. He is uber wealthy. All of it stolen from the Russian people, who he is now trying to delude, as Tucker Carlson and the rest of the right does, into looking for traitors in their midst rather than identifying the theft that's already happened. Francesca, what do you think?
No, it's this like, two things. One, hey, maybe don't have a former KGB officer as your president. You know, he's gonna see everyone as an enemy of the people or not, with us or against us. And honestly, we've had that here. We've been within striking distance of that. I mean, I just uttered like a Bushism, right? From the early 2000s. But this is a reason why we shouldn't have like former CIA, former FBI in high positions of power. And we do, because this is there. When you create, your entire idea is creating like enemies of the state, then everyone becomes an enemy of the state. So that's number one. It's like Putin is this like look into a future that the United States potentially could have, right? What happens when you have a kleptocratic, autocratic, like, you know, government that steals everything for itself? Like, what does that look like? And secondly, yeah, my man has like palaces that are worth billions and billions of dollars with weird rooms that we don't want to know about, and the people who are in them don't want to know about them either. Like, there's just a lot going on. So again, you're right. Like, the guy has always been this person, and I'm like, it's fascinating to me to see what so many countries, including our own, could potentially be. And I'm serious about this. Like, you know, down the line, a smarter Trump, like we're looking at Putin. Anyway, let's talk about his failure.
Exactly, and we're on that path, but we just don't want to get even worse into it. But Okay, so it is clear when he's talking about foie gras and oysters, that's not actually what he's worried about. Let's speculate for a second together about what it is that he might be worried about. Is it about his disastrous invasion of Ukraine? Here's something to put it into perspective. We talked about a comparison to the Russian invasion of Afghanistan back in the 80s. Here's another one. In 36 days of fighting on Iwo Jima during World War II, nearly 7,000 Marines were killed. It's considered such a massive loss of life in such a short period of time that we still memorialize it to this day. 20 days after Putin invaded Ukraine, his military has already lost more soldiers than the US lost on Iwo Jima, according to American intelligence estimates. And it's considered, by the way, again, grains of salt all over the place, but it's considered a conservative side of the estimate. More than 7,000 Russian troop deaths, greater than the number of American troops, by the way, killed in over 20 years in Iraq and Afghanistan combined. 2 decades of a terrible quagmire, a debacle in the Middle East, devastating for 2 decades. In 20 days, they've already lost more soldiers. The soldiers dead, far more, obviously injured at this point. By the way, the Pentagon says that a 10% casualty rate, including dead and wounded, for a single unit renders it unable to carry out combat-related tasks. If we assume that there's about 150,000 Russian troops now involved invading Ukraine, their current casualties, when including the estimated 14 to 21,000 that are injured, are near that level of units being unable to accomplish their objectives. And by the way, the Russian military has also lost at least 3 generals. By the way, they sent in about 20, okay, to give you perspective. That was to boost morale. It doesn't necessarily boost morale though when you lose a significant percentage of your generals in 3 weeks there. What do you think, Francesca?
I mean, it's part and parcel of his attitude about the Russian people generally, right? Which is, as you mentioned, he's been stealing from them hand over fist. He's been propagandizing to them, lying to them, and now he's using their children as cannon fodder. So it's no surprise that he doesn't care about the casualties in Russia. I mean, 2 things. One, he doesn't care about the casualties. I don't think that, look, we've got terrible legacies of war in this country. But there is an acknowledgement, especially I think in the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, of the American casualties. Not necessarily as much of the Iraqi and Afghani casualties, but of American casualties. I don't think Putin has that same empathy for his own people, clearly. And then, number 2 is a point that got lost by the pangolin virus in my body. But the point is, like he's gonna keep going. Like it doesn't matter, because if he can control the messaging, and that was the thing about Vietnam, that the United States could not control the messaging anymore. We had film, everyone could see. It was like a lot, it was overexposure in terms of like all the casualties. Russia doesn't have that, right? Russia is able to clamp down on the images that are coming into Russian people. So if they died, it was valiantly. It was on a very targeted mission. It wasn't to essentially topple a democratic government, a neighboring, autonomous state.
You might be right, but I do think that there are a lot more potential avenues for that information getting in. I think that they have got a lot of state control over media and did long before this war began. But we'll have to see. And also, look, I don't think that Putin is like losing sleep over the dead Russian soldiers who should have never been there, who probably have no interest in this war, don't even know what they've been sent there to do. But if it does come back, if it hurts him politically, then he could care about that. Like you could be a full-on sociopath and still worry about the consequences of your actions if they'll have effects on you. And by the way, you might think, oh, well, John already ran through the bad news. No, there's more bad news, by the way. 3 confirmed general deaths. On Wednesday, Ukrainian officials reported that a 4th general, Major General Oleg Mityayev, the commander of the 150th Motorized Rifle Division, had been killed in fighting. I don't think that has been confirmed independently, but that is what they are saying. In at least one instance, by the way, the Ukrainians apparently intercepted a general's call, geolocated it, and attacked his location, killing him and his staff. If that news gets out, how terrified are you going to be being an officer in the Russian invading forces right now, desperately trying to communicate for guidance about what you're supposed to do in the midst of a long-standing issue with logistics and troop movements and all that. And now you feel like if you actually radio in for for guidance that you could end up being killed too. And by the way, maybe as a result of all this, certainly of the death, the Pentagon says as of yesterday, Russian advances continue to be stalled near the capital in Kyiv, and those forces have not made any significant advances towards the city. Also, by the way, Russia's state TV has a number of their personalities and behind the camera people who have been resigning from it. So in terms of the control over the message, like they'll replace those people, but someone might notice that a bunch of them are resigning. And also, in addition to many super yachts which have been seized internationally, there is a super yacht belonging to a Russian oligarch and a former KGB agent that's been stuck in Norway for over a month because suppliers are refusing to fuel it. Which is a little bit petty, but I'll take it. I'll take it.
Oh yeah, I still think, as has been mentioned before, that those super yachts should be housing Ukrainian refugees, and it should just be a wild party, buffet.
Constant party.
Let's just do it up.
Just fill up the yacht with like balls and make it a big floating ball pit for Ukrainian child refugees. Get them in there.
I'm into it.
Exactly.
The one thing I will say is that, if there is a silver lining, and it's really hard to see that right now, given all the death and given all the destruction, but that Russia itself, I agree that I'm of two minds. While Putin has utter control over a lot of the propaganda and the state machinery and is already locking people up for holding blank signs in protest, that there are these leaks and cracks, as you mentioned, in this system and in that sort of grasp. And also that I don't know if his regime is going to survive this war politically. And I hope that this breeds and spawns like a new day for Russian. I mean, let's be honest, like democracy. I'm sorry, I don't mean that in a Western imperialist way. I mean that in a freedom way, like. People get to vote and then not get punished for it, and then not get sent off to die. So hopefully, if we can see that light at the end of the tunnel.
For more political news, breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.